It is Ramadan. Happy, holy Ramadan. Isn't it beautiful? A whole month where you don't eat too much, where you eat less and become thinner. Or is it? Ramadan is a very complicated issue. When I was a very religious Muslim, I used to fast during Ramadan. It felt peaceful and great to fast, to be honest. I was very much convinced that the sacrifice that I was making throughout the day, which is hungering and dehydrating myself, was a holy sacrifice whose reward was given to me and would hopefully be given to me by Allah. Such a conviction gives you an interesting feeling of spirituality, as I still remember. Look, I get it. There is devotion in Ramadan, in fasting. You abstain from eating, drinking, sex, and all that stuff during the day. And that feels like a sacrifice that you make to Allah for your submission and your obedience. But I have some issues with the topic sacrifice already. Is it healthy? Is it really healthy? This is definitely important because this topic is really worth a discussion and we can't just brush it off like that. So, is fasting during Ramadan healthy? No, it's not. Or should we talk further about it? Should we talk further about whether it is healthy or not? To stuff yourself before sunrise, not to eat and to drink for the entire day, and then to stuff yourself again at sunset with a huge feast that your body cannot possibly process until you go to sleep. Not even after going to the mosque and practicing prayer gymnastics for half an hour. And that for an entire month. I really wonder if that is healthy. Yes, although fasting is connected to abstaining from eating and drinking and different pleasures, many Muslims actually eat more during Ramadan because once the fast is broken in the evening, the meals become immeasurably huge and just irresistible. Ramadan and fasting always reminds me of the sight of people feeling full and fat after the dinner in the evening. Is that healthy? Credible sources will tell you that it is at least questionable, and that you should be really careful with such a practice. Even Muslims that are corrupted by common sense and science will tell you to fast responsibly. But if you ask totally pro-Islamic sources, pro-Muslim sources, they will turn Ramadan fasting into another miracle. Everything about Islam is a miracle. And they'll tell you about the mind-blowing healthy benefits of Ramadan that does not only turn you into the most healthy and stable human on earth, it also makes your spirit pure and completely at peace. Surprising health benefits of Ramadan. If you attach the word surprising to a fact, it sounds more believable. That's very surprising, isn't it? What is very funny is that many people prefer to sleep during daytime in Ramadan. Resting during daytime makes the time pass much faster, and that makes Ramadan more bearable. That's very smart, and surprisingly healthy. But also, how is all of this a sacrifice anyway? According to so many reports, people waste more food during Ramadan, eat more during Ramadan, gain more weight during Ramadan, which is normal if you stuff yourself in the evening, and commit more crimes during Ramadan. But some Muslim source will quickly fix that with surprising decrease in crime during Ramadan. The very few Islamic terrorist organizations, namely ISIS, Al-Qaeda, Boko Haram, Taliban, Hamas, Islamic Jihad, Al-Shabaab, Jaish-e-Mohammed, and hundreds others, would happily object to such a finding though, because they celebrate Ramadan with a very wild spirit of global jihad. What better time is there to kill for Allah than the holy month of Ramadan? Gladly, the peaceful majority, the global Muslim community, also voices their strong opposition to such a monstrosity in this holy month. It must be here somewhere. I'm sure the news just couldn't catch such protests. They surprisingly happen though. Many Muslims don't even know when Ramadan is until Ramadan is. Islam uses a lunar calendar. That is of course very practical because a lunar calendar doesn't fit with the solar calendar, and therefore one specific month can have winter in one year, but summer 20 years later. Muslims don't know when Ramadan is until Ramadan is because Muhammad said in a hadith, when you see the crescent of the month of Ramadan, start fasting. And when you see the crescent of the month of Shawwal, stop fasting. If the sky is overcast and you can't see it, then regard the crescent month of Ramadan. as of 30 days. So what Muhammad means is that you should look for the crescent, and when you see it, decide that this is the beginning of Ramadan. Then look for another crescent, another month, and end your Ramadan fasting, because the month of Ramadan is now over. A new month has begun. Many Muslim nations and authorities take this too literally, of course, because Muhammad told people to watch for the crescent, because Muhammad lived in a time 1400 years ago, in a savage desert, where that is how people told the time. We can meanwhile tell the phase of the moon years in advance, and don't need to look. But I don't have a cloth on my head. Of course I don't know better. Trust these guys. Speaking of moon and sun, if you live at a place where the sun doesn't set for a few months or doesn't rise, you would of course die of hunger or never be able to participate in the fasting. Therefore, because the Quran didn't know of such places and told people about the time of fasting in 7th century language, from sunrise to sunset, and didn't explain what people north of the Arctic Circle should do, Muslim scholars later came up with different solutions that the Almighty Allah didn't know about. I always say it, listening to Allah is dangerous for you. But apart from that, isn't Ramadan a bit unfair? I mean, someone who fasts in Germany can't be equal to someone who fasts in Arabia. Fasting in Germany is much easier. Seriously, if you're fasting, go on a vacation to a nicer place to fast. But Allah knows better. Allah knows best. Also, if you fast in Russia, where there is currently 20 hours of daylight, so you have to fast 20 hours, compared to Ushuaia in Argentina, where you fast for only 11 hours, you can blame Allah for such double standards as well. An almighty and all-knowing God would have probably given people a much better measure to stick by, instead of the movements of the sun that are completely different around the world. But Allah was an Arabian God who didn't see very much beyond the Arabian Peninsula. How would he know? But anyways, I don't want to bother the regular Muslim viewer too much. Hunger brings enough anger already. But please, don't project your anger in form of an increase in crimes. Morocco is complaining. Or telling people who don't observe Ramadan to respect Ramadan or else. That doesn't really help us explain that Islam is just misunderstood and actually so peaceful. And please, be easy with the infidel. That is all I have to say. Enjoy your Ramadan. Oh, and stay away from Islam.